Hi, I'm Aaron Batson, and in this video I'll be talking to you about the relationship between socio-economic status, or SES for short, and health, and I'll be suggesting through empirical evidence that if you have a low socio-economic status, then that will be detrimental to your health. But before we talk about any of this, I want to go into detail about how we measure socio-economic status and what it actually is, the definition. So, socioeconomic status, or SES, is dependent on three variables. So the first is education, then income, then occupation. So you can measure education as maybe what degree they've obtained or how many qualifications they have. Their income, I think the best way to measure this is to look at their whole household income, so that you know what sort of money they're exposed to, and their occupation, so how skilled is their job, sort of from the range of doctors to sort of cleaners. And then all of these things are then put together and you're put into a class, sort of like this one. So you would think that if you were a doctor and you were earning lots of money and you were well educated, then you'd be at the top of this tree. Whereas at the bottom, if you didn't have many qualifications and you were a cleaner and you didn't get paid very well, then you'd be at the bottom. So this is how it's categorized into a sort of format that you can look at to compare with something like health. An example of a piece of research that explores the relationship between SES and health is a study from Cameron and Williams in 2009. They studied Indonesian children and compared their household income to their general health using a rating. Now, this rating was formed from a parent's point of view and a medical nurse's point of view, and this is the results that they received. So as you can see, for all ages, as the per capita income increases, the health status decreases, which does show a negative relationship between SES and health. Now, because this is a correlational study, there is no control variables necessarily. So therefore, you don't know whether the independent variable is affecting the dependent variable, and it's nothing else that is affecting it, because there might be a third variable. So for example, for that study, if there was no control variables put in place, then you couldn't say that SES was affecting the health in the way that it did. However, in that particular study, I have lined out all of the control variables that they have put in place, so that it is more likely that the health is being affected by their socio-economic status. Now, as an example of a quasi-experiment regarding SES and health, there was one that was conducted by Estello in 2003. Now, he did psychiatric surveys on disadvantaged children until, in the area that he was conducting this study, there was a casino built, which led to a couple of things. So the Native American families that lived there earned $6,000 more per year, which then led to 14% of them moving out of poverty, and then that led to, back to his study, improvement in the children's psychiatric symptoms. Now, I know there were still thousands and thousands of Native Americans that were still in poverty, and there's not a clear cause and effect, but you can see that there's a clear relationship between, as the families got richer and they had more social opportunities because of the amount of money that they had, that meant that there were less symptoms in the short term and the long term for these children. So, in conclusion, even though I haven't given you any evidence from experimental designs, which would be perfect for cause and effect, I've used causal inference for the studies that I have used to show that there is a relationship between SES and health, in the sense that as SES decreases, a person's health decreases.